So you're looking into insurance for the first time and you're asking yourself, why would I want this exactly? Basic idea of insurance is that there are some risks we all have in our lives that we can't totally control or avoid. Risks of terrible things that can just happen to you. There's a risk you'll get in a terrible car accident. A risk you'll develop a really bad medical problem. A risk that your house will burn down. Risks are everywhere, and some of them are really bad, and some of them can just happen to you. And if it's a really big one, you might not be able to deal with it. What would you do if you had like $100,000 medical bill for a medical emergency and you weren't able to pay for it? How would you deal with that? Would you, that's a lot of debt. Are you going to have to sell your stuff? How's that going to affect your ability to pay for your other stuff, your other needs? If you're going to college or taking a class or something, how's that going to affect things? How is it going to affect your ability to do what you want with your life if you have this giant debt thing that you have to pay off? You can't just not pay for things. They have to get paid for. If you don't pay for them, bad things are going to happen. And so insurance is something that you can pay for to protect yourself against things that you wouldn't be able to pay for if they happen to happen. There are some terrible things that if they happened, you wouldn't be able to afford. However, you can afford to lose a little bit of money on a regular basis in order to protect yourself against that thing, that huge, terrible thing that you wouldn't be able to afford. But you might be wondering, why would I pay money to insure against this terrible thing that might not happen if I could just put that money into a savings account instead? Wouldn't that be better? Especially when you realize the idea that, insurance has to be profitable. They have to be taking more money from the people they're insuring than the money that they're paying back to them. So why would you want to pay for insurance if you're more likely to lose money on it? I think understanding why is the core idea, the key idea to understand why you would want insurance. Insurance is not for saving you money. It's for securing you against a vulnerability that, if it happened, you wouldn't be able to deal with. Imagine you pay $5,000 a year for health insurance that protects you against $100,000 worth of healthcare expenses. If you wanted to put that money that you were paying your insurance towards saving for that disaster instead, it would take you about 20 years' time to accumulate that level of wealth that would protect you against the $100,000 worth of expenses. That same level of protection that your insurance protects you against. 20 years. That's 20 years that you would be vulnerable to $100,000 worth of healthcare expenses. Are you okay with that? Is that a worthwhile, risk and vulnerability? Or would you rather be like, I don't like the idea that for 20 years I can't afford $100,000 worth of medical expenses. That if that were to happen, I wouldn't be able to deal with it. That makes me feel uncomfortable. If that's you, that's what insurance is for. Insurance is to protect you against that thing that for a period of time you wouldn't be able to deal with. It really is a matter of deciding how scary and uncomfortable that risk is, and if it's so much so that it's worth insuring against. Hope this helped you to understand get a better idea of why insurance would be worth having. If you thought I did a good job or a bad job, feel free to leave feedback in the likes and dislikes or comments below. All of that is any interaction, any engagement I get is much appreciated. But and if you have a question, feel free to ask. But until next time, I'll see you later.